Awesome. Hope everyone's well. Very special guest here from the, I'm going to say from the top of the planet or from the bottom of the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, myself and Shihan here, Shihan Terry Birkett, have been communicating for a while. I finally got him. Thank you so much for your time. Shihan, good evening to you in South Wales in the UK.
Yes. Us. Good to see you, Sensei Pat.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. I've been a big fan, long-time fan. A number of my students and I love what you're doing and how you present your social media content and your philosophies and ways and applications to Kyokushin, but then also martial arts. Give us a bit of a walkthrough of, I guess, your upbringing just to begin with, because you've got a hell of a story. And I try to keep these chats to an hour, because then I hope to bring these guests and, I guess, characters and highlight more later on down the track. But the floor is yours in the meantime, just to give our viewers a bit of, and our listeners, subscribers, a bit of an idea of your upbringing in regards to, the arts.
Well, like yourself, I was an 80s child. I grew up Karate Kid, Ninja Turtles, and I was a massive Ninja Turtle fan. I wanted to be was a Ninja Turtle. So I think my older sister started going to a karate club. I must have been 10 or 11, and I went along one day and tried it, and then me just stuck. It just happened to be a Kyokushin club. I don't know what Kyokushin was at that time, but just luckily it was a Kyokushin club, and we just went from there, and that was almost 28 years ago.
Wow. So from there, you put on the Kyokushin gi. Did you have a idea upon joining what you were getting yourself into, what cult you were joining as such?
No, nothing at all. It was just, I grew up in a little farming village out in the country. So I wasn't like a city kid, I'm like a country kid. So for me, it was great. It was going down there. My family are quite wiry and quite sort of tough, and they like to get into scraps and whatever. So it kind of it fitted for me. Hard training, I loved it. The discipline was good because my father had just died. He died when I was 9, and I'd come into this dojo structure, and there was a sensei who was like a father figure then that you look at. So it was the right time in my life. I think it was a good fit. I was ready for it. And then just got into it and loved it, mad into it. I started training in 1992, and I think within about 2 years, I had Shihan Cameron's book, Radio Matsuyama.
Unreal.
That was like the Bible. My Bible. I knew that book from the picture anyway, every word in it, every picture in it, and I've still got that copy now, which great for me. 2 years ago, when Cameron came to stay with me, he signed the book for me.
How cool. Yeah, Shihan Cameron's book is gospel, isn't it? And we had him a couple of weeks ago, last week, but how fascinating. I'm sure we'll go into detail of his visit up there as well. Shihan, you then get your hands dirty, in the arts and in respect of training we say it here like a warrior. You're training hard and progressing, and congratulations on your promotion of 5th Dan. Correct me if I'm wrong when that was, but congratulations, and what an achievement that is.
So yeah, that was last summer, just gone now in Germany. But yeah, 92. So I was lucky. I came just at the end of the golden years, of course I was still alive at that time, and it was still the golden era of Kyokushin. It was like, fight-o attitude all the time. Very cult-like. It is. You're into that cult. And the only thing, you've got Kyokushin people and non-Kyokushin people. And like the non-Kyokushin people, you're not even bothered with. If you don't do Kyokushin, you don't exist, sort of thing. And it just became my life. I was training. You remember the God hand?
Of course.
the film, The God Hand. So I think that was the preparation for the second World Tournament. Oh, I used to love that. I mean, we're talking back in the VHS days. So you'd have like a VHS, tracking would always be dodgy on it. And it would be, or I watched that video, oh, I loved it. And you'd watch that video, you'd go out, like I'd be out because we lived in like a mountainous area, running through the woods, logs on my back, punching trees, and just loved it.
Sensational. Yeah, I was fortunate. Shihan, Billy's my Shihan, and he would have the VHS tapes. And I tell the story of when my first time in Japan as a student was in 2005, and DVDs were just starting to appear at the Budokan shop in Ikebukuro, and we were in awe of my Shihan just having those tapes, Shihan Bobby Lowe's tape of Goshen Jitsu, the God Hand tape, and we had a TV in our dojo, probably about this big, that had the VHS in it, and we would stay back and watch all those things and think, right, how good's this? So that's nice of you to share that as well, because it was rare to have.
It was. We didn't have anything in the 90s. You didn't, you couldn't get t-shirts with candies on them, and you couldn't get VHS. You couldn't watch anything. I remember you were saying to someone else on another podcast the other day that, like, now you press a button, you can pull everything up on YouTube. Everything is there. Sword-sized bullfights. I mean, we never seen that. You used to read about it in Hombu News, or you'd see a picture of it. You'd have a picture up on the wall, and you'd be lucky if you get like we used to have a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of VHS. So it'd be like, you're trying to watch it. It's like, is someone doing a kick? And then you'd be trying to copy him. And yeah, it was great. And like, I remember one of my old gis, we didn't have embroidered kanjis on the gis. We had a badge on there.
Okay.
And then, so there was no t-shirts on nothing. So like when I grew out of my gi, I had my mother cut the badge off and sew it onto a plain white t-shirt. And then it was like, oh.
How good. How good. Yeah. Hey, that's a great one. That's really cool. So I guess the passion and the drive was, it was embedded in you as a teenager, and as from there, you can you give us a brief on who your Shihan or who your teachers were in that time, and how you progressed from there?
Well, I was training in a local club just by chance. I went in there, a local club in Pontefract. Trained there from the age of like 10, 11. I think it was an okay club. It was a general all-round club. Quite a strong club, lots of people there. Quite regularly, we'd have 50 students. We'd have a line of black belts training at the front. The instructor there was he was an okay guy, all-round bit of fitness. He was never a fighter. He had never travelled to Japan, kind of on the sort of skirts of it. So I trained there for a few years. Won tournaments then when I was a teenager. When I was 18, I fought my first knockdown fight at the age of 18 on the day of the tournament. So that was the Welsh Open. That was my first open knockdown tournament. And then shortly after that, I won the British Novice. And it was kind of like outgrowing the dojo, really. There was nothing there for me.
Okay.
And I was like a young man then. I was 18. Raging hormones, want to train. I'd started cross-training a lot of other things as well. Judo, Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu. I've always been interested in Kudo and weapons. Always studied a bit of weapon work and things. And kind of left that dojo then. We kind of parted ways. And luckily, just before that, I bumped into Gary Bufton, who used to instruct the guy whose club I was training at. Shihan Gary had always had an influence. He'd kind of been there on the gradings and things. So I bumped into him and he said, come down to the dojo. I went down to the dojo. I think that was beginning of 2001, I think. And then I started training with him, and it was like father and son, and I've been with him ever since.
Wow, well done.
Very close.
That's cool. That's great. In respect of that age that you said, that 18 and the hormones and out and about, and I'm sure you would have been out in the streets of /Wales, and I guess I'm segueing towards you know, your experience in certain ways of you did security as well, correct?
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
share?
So when I was 17, I started working on the doors when I was 17. So I wasn't even old enough to go in the pub, but I was sort of working as a doorman. Because, you know, I was young, I was fit, I was wiry, I was strong, but, you know, naive, very naive as well. Because I was a Kyokushin student. I was there, you know, well, we don't really punch in the face, but I'll punch you in the body and I'll beat you that way. And I'll low kick you into the ground. And then you get your eyes open. And it was through working on the door that I started working with the older guys, the older crowds. They didn't do martial arts. They'd grown up fighting. They'd been fighting all their lives on the street. And the company I was working for, they used to have a once a week, they'd get together and train. And the guy who owned it in his own little dojo above his garage. Well, I go in and I'm like, yo, Kyokushin, you know, we go in there training. I must have been a green belt then, maybe green belt, brown belt. I was doing things and I grabbed the guy around the neck. He was like, oh, put me in a chokehold and we'll have a look at getting out of it. So I had him in a chokehold and I'm like, I'm not getting out. He bit my arm. He grabbed my arm and sank his teeth into my arm. And then I was like, oh, you know, what are you doing? You can't bite. You're not allowed to bite. You don't do biting. And he's like, listen, this is real fighting that we're talking about, yeah, now. So my eyes were opened a bit and I thought, right, okay. And the next time he put me in a headlock, I went to bite him. Because this was like a grown adult, he just wrenched his arm straight into my mouth and opened my jaw up. Wow. And then it started opening your eyes a bit. You're like, within this little bubble, this karate bubble, doing the sport side of it, and we're training. And yet I kick you, you punch me, I block. You know, it all works together nicely.
Yes, yes.
And then when you get into the real world, and then you see people that want to hurt you, and don't care what you can do or what colour belt you got. So I very quickly got into that world.
Which is why I was so looking forward to this chat, because in our terms in the dojo, you keep it real, and you know, there's a lot of instructors that do keep it real. There's no disrespect to others out there, but we like the way you interpret it. There's no bullshit to it, as you gesture, and you've experienced it, and I guess. I'm alluding to the way you just said that. There is a little bubble in our style or / in other styles that then expose you to others. Again, you can't be a master across all these things if you are a husband, father, and all these things. So, but you get to experiment across other things. So, in discussing that angle, how were you? I guess so. You were motivated, I guess, by the experience of what you were seeing out on the street, and then acknowledging what you were doing weekly.
Well, I came into it. I wanted to get into that sort of life. Don't get me wrong. I didn't grow up I wasn't a problem child. I wasn't in gangs. I didn't smoke and drink like that. I was quite naive, really, growing up in the country. But one day in the dojo, a friend of mine, Gary Dickinson, his name was. He was having a book back. I'd lent it to it. It was called Watch My Back by Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Have you heard of Jeff Thompson?
Yeah.
With this book, and I was 17 at the time. So can I borrow that book and read it? So I read that book, changed my world.
Right.
Changed my life, that book did.
So for those listening, Jeff, give people just a quick 30-second brief on Jeff Thompson. I'm familiar with him, and he's a legend in the streets of up the UK. So give him a brief on that, and then look him up, guys.
Well, Jeff Thompson's a lovely guy, but I related to him because he was a martial artist. He did the Shotokan, and he started doing a bit of door work in Coventry, you know, sort of back in the 80s, 90s. There was a ruthless place, you know, and he was working there, and he was understanding the fear of confrontation and dealing with it, and what to do. Excuse me. Okay. He would look at his techniques and go, these techniques are not working. You know, all this stuff, it's not working outside. And then he adapted I'd say adapt. I think get back to the old way of training. You think in Hombu in the 70s, they didn't do knockdown. They did Juku Kumite,
Yes.
which is, you know, punch into the face. If they had a towel on their hand, they put a towel on, they punch to the face, they kick to the groin, they headbutt, they grab, they pull. Judo Kumite, proper sparring. And it's only that, you know, in the later years, since the mid-70s, because of the first world tournament, that everybody started concentrating on knockdown. You do a knockdown technique, getting the grabbing, headbutts, throwing, the twisting, the locks, just forgetting it all. So it was good to go back to that sort of training, because I was working the door then, and I was discovering things, and I would shadow other doormen, and I didn't walk into it thinking, yeah, you know, I'm the hard guy here. I wanted to be in that sort of situation, so I would watch other people working, and I came into it very organically, and I shadowed. I did an apprenticeship. It was was we talking 1997 was when I first went on the door. I was a kid. I'm only a young kid then, so I had this apprenticeship from the other guys that had worked, and they would take you under their wing. If they were to scrap, they'd watch you. If you get stuck in, they'd be like, "Oh, he's all right. He's a good kid. He gets stuck in." They'd take you under your wing then, and they'd show you the ways and how to do things.
Yeah, I can vouch for that, because I was fortunate. My brother was a promoter here in Melbourne with the famous nightclubs, and he was a part of that industry, and he needed a second door, an in-house security, meaning you need to keep an eye and ear on everything. And I did 6 years as a second door, not front. The big boys did the front. I just did the smart tactics and a bit of communication and had to relay stuff. But geez Louise, did I see a lot of stuff as well. And it definitely opens your eyes. And I guess it's it's not for everyone. So what I'm gesturing is it doesn't.
It's not.
Yeah.
But I mean, footwork has changed now a lot. We've had the license that's been brought and everything. And whereas back in the 90s, you go into door work and you'd be tried and tested. If you couldn't fight, you wouldn't be fucking on the door very long. They wouldn't let you work. They didn't know you, and no one vouched for you. They wouldn't work with you. They're like, fuck off home. You're not working on this door. I'd rather work on my own because I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
But now these days, as long as you've got a plastic badge, you can go and work whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. That's pretty cool. So your teaching, if we can head that way, you've got your own dojo, and in respect of that, can you give us a bit of, again, most of the listeners are here in Oz, but I guess we try to catch a couple of nuggets or a bit of intel as to how other people train and or teach as such. What do you specifically focus on with your students and in your dojo? I guess it's changed in the last 10, it always changes, but how have you, taught as such?
Well, I mean, my dojo, Ronin Dojo, it came about in 2006-07, roughly. It came about softly, and it was called Ronin Dojo because my Shihan Gary, he emigrated to France. And I was kind of like, I'm masterless. I've got no Shihan. I've got no one training me. I'm on my own, left in the wilderness. And that's where the whole Ronin concept of training was.
Okay.
So I used to travel around to different dojos and train there, and we'd beat everyone up in those days because you were out to prove a point, and you go in there to train. You're like, oh, I'm here to train. Let's train. And then after about 2 months, they'd be like, we prefer it if you didn't come back. This is a family environment. Best you not really be here.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was kind of the Ronin years of me being angry that I was on my own and my Shihan had left. So I was, training hard on my own, doing things, still doing security. So my training had kind of changed then from knockdown, because we've all done the knockdown. I think it's very important. You need to do the knockdown. You fought in the world tournament, didn't you?
Yes.
What one was that?
08, 12, and 16. I was with the All Japan Union in 08 and 12, and then Kyokushin in 16.
Right. So I was with Aikyo Matsui. I fought in the 8th World Tournament.
Unreal.
Yeah, 2003. Was that the 8th?
Yes.
Yeah.
99, 2003.
I think so. Yeah, 2003. The one Kiyama won it.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'd done the knockdown thing, you know, Shihan Gary. And this was a great thing with Shihan Gary. He trained under Sotai. He went to Japan. He trained in Honbu
Unreal.
in the early to mid 70s, and he stayed there for a year. And he trained in Honbu, so he had his shodan from Sotai. And his senpai were people like Azuma, Oichi. All of these names were there in the dojo. His senpai. So I've got a very good link. Budo Kyokushin, and that's what we were talking about with Gary. It was very close to how they were training in Honbu. You were talking about it the other day to one of the Shihans, and it's like, today people train for an hour and a half. They want to do a bit of kata, do a bit of fighting, do a bit of this, do a bit of that. And it's, we need a drink break. We just do Shudan Gyaku ski for an hour and a half. That's all we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just count it. You count, everyone count on the line at like 110 people going around. You keep doing it. And you'd have a big new line. And you just do it till the end of the lesson. And you'd be like, right, now ready, are you ready? Good session. See you next week. Of course.
Yeah, that's it. My Shihan was similar, very similar. And until we call it the young bucks. You know, in our early 20s, and you know, UFC was starting to trickle its way into the you know, the atmosphere. I'll use that word. And my Shihan was very traditional, but very open-minded in understanding. He's in law enforcement, so he understood what was coming into
he's got a good idea of it.
Yeah, he was coming into, and everyone was starting to understand the cycle. I use that word as well. It became a cycle of just, you know, be patient. Let's see what's going on here. And I guess it led towards the fact of the mystique behind everyone's martial art was starting to disappear because we could reference, and it was great that you brought up your upbringing in VHSs and so forth, because I've gestured it before, but you know, we have access to so much now, and there is, you know, the saying goes, you can't bullshit a bullshit artist anymore. And that's why, you know, some of the things that you're teaching and putting out there, again, changes the level of what you can do on the mat and off the mat.
Yeah, we were training, you know, we did our knockdown. I was training on the mat. I was doing, you know, knockdown training. But I was also training for real fighting, grabbing, headbutting, pinching, and the two don't mix. You can't train to be a knockdown fighter and then train to react correctly as you want to react in a real fight. And that kind of came to be in. My last knockdown tournament was 2006.
Okay.
A while ago, last time I fought in the tournament. And I was fighting. I'd had 3 hard rounds that had gone to 3 extensions. I'd had 3 extensions on each round and gone through. And I was knackered. I was just fucking bollocks. And then I was fighting for a 3rd place fight off. And, you know, the point of repetition and training is so that you get the muscle memory. We want our bodies to react without having to think about it. That's ultimately what we're training for, isn't it? So I remember it was the last few seconds of the fight that I was fucking knackered, and I grabbed his sleeve, and pulled him over, and hit him with a Hizugeri in the. So that was like dubious. And as he was on his way down, I followed him to the mat, smashed him in the side of the head. But I was in my head, I was like, "You're not fucking getting back up." And then for that split second, and then once I'd hit him, and afterwards I was like, "Oh." You know, but I was so knackered. And when you're knackered, you refer to your go-to techniques. So what you train, what you drill, that's what will come out. So it was kind of like they're not working. So I stopped karate and concentrated more then on the Goshen side of Kyokushin.
Oh, great angle. I was about to seriously just say to you, how has an influence of that style driven you as well, and who has helped you with that, or how have you taken it to your level?
Well, Goshen, I mean, there are other styles called Goshen. I was doing Goshen Kwayawara as I was doing Kyokushin. That was all the feet grabbing and headbutting, and it was good stuff. But all Goshen means is street application. So everything has a Goshen. It just means what you do in the street, basically. So I started, I mean, Kyokushin is my style. So you go into the syllabus and you look at things, you read the old books. Sosai's 3 main books, all in there.
Yeah.
Those books were before the World Tournament.
Yeah.
They were about real karate. They were about grabbing, floor techniques. You know, there's pictures in there where there's a man dressed up in a suit with a cane or an umbrella, sat on a chair, doing defense work. And it's like, this is what karate is. Knockdown is the sport side.
Yeah.
It's the sport element of Kyokushin. But now it's become the whole thing. People are not doing the other stuff. So that became my focus.
Yeah, that's great. I have a very strong passion for Goshen Jitsu in our dojo. Being, you know, Shihan Billy was one of Shihan Bobby Lowe's closest, I guess, students as such, away from Hawaii, via Shihan Eddie Emin. And we have a very strong lineage to Shihan Bobby Lowe via my Shihan. And from that, you know, my Shihan would show us Goshen Jitsu techniques along with his law enforcement background. And all of a sudden, look, let me just quickly show you one thing. And then 1.5 hours just goes. And we're like, oh, shit, what the, you know, that just flew. And then he'd go, all right, well, oh, shit, all right, well, if that one thing does help you, great. But he would just get in a zone and in a mode and start to show us a lot of things. And, you know, I add that in our syllabus. Well, we have that in our syllabus as a point of training. You know, and Shihan Bobby Lowe's angle. Have you tapped into that? Have you? I'm sure you have, but
well, yeah. I mean, it was Shihan Bobby Lowe that he was kind of the vanguard of Goshen in Kyokushin, wasn't he? Yeah. He kind of done the books, done the DVDs, and he was with Sosai in the early days, so he learned the really good stuff. I trained in the Shihan Bobby once, and I think what year did Shihan Bobby die?
Oh, tough question. Sorry. Yeah, off the top of my head.
I'm
saying 2011, 2012. Apologies to whoever, but yeah about 11 and 12.
It was 2003. 2003 in New York, the New York Open, because I fought the Japanese champion. What was his name? Oishi? No, not Oishi. I forget his name, but I fought a Japanese guy there. And then afterwards, we did a seminar with Kansho Matsui in Shihan Gorai's dojo, and Shihan Bobby Lowe was there. Cool. Bobby Lowe took a session as well. So yeah, that's the only time I was quite young. Just fought. My legs were smashed to fuck in this tournament. But I was a bit like, you know, I was fighting a Japanese guy, and I'm quite, you know, boom forward going and hitting him. It was my second international tournament. This is how I used to go in Britain. There was no one for me to spar in our dojo, no one for me to spar with in Wales. So I do no sparring work, no fighting, just training with my Shihan. And then maybe once a month I'd go up to London and spar with the guys up there. Then I'd fight in the British, and go to the Europeans. And then when I went to the Europeans, you know, there's people like all the top names are there. Navarro was there. Emil Kostov was in my category. And I'm like, fucking hell. You know, I'm like 19, 20. And Emil Kostov is there, who was like this 30-year-old bodybuilder guy. Yeah. Was the same fucking weight category as me. And he's like 3 times the size. And I'm like, that can't be right. So that was a big like mind fuck for me. Yeah. And then it go like this again the following year, no sparring training, and I do that. I'd fight the British, win the British, and then they'd be like, right, going to New York. And I fought the Japanese lightweight champion, and we were about the same depth. So I thought, I feel a bit more confident with this. I'm gonna go in for him. So we started the fight. The first 3 minutes, I just went hell for leather and just smashed him as hard as I could, driving into him and hitting him, and he was, taking it and moving around the mat. And then, of course, Ikiwaki. And then I was like,
ooh,
in fact, got nothing left.
I'm done.
There's nothing left. I had to fight for another round, and I was like, boom, 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 so tired. And he just worked inside low kicks. He smashed the fuck out of my legs, inside low kicks. Then he won it. But then, it was funny, for the rest of the weekend, they were black, the inside of my thighs. And so as we were walking around New York, my legs bent, collapsed on the floor, and hold my body weight. I had to keep my legs straight. So we'd be stood up talking or something, and they'd be like, yeah, look at that. And I'd be like, yeah, and then I'd be down on the floor because I couldn't stand up.
Get the definition of the Kyokushin Shuffle?
Yeah, well, I couldn't even shuffle. I was just like, it was terrible. And I'd break into a jog every now and again, stop myself from falling over.
That's good, mate. That's good. Good tattoos there for you. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, sorry. And it was there is where we when I met down Bobby Lowe.
Yeah, cool.
That's what them and learned. And looked at his books, looked at Sourcesize books. And like I said, I trained in Aikido and Judo and stuff like that. So this was really MMA before it was MMA, before it became MMA. We used to do Judo, karate, you'd do a bit of BJJ. Back then it was Valet Kudo. So we started having Valet Kudo places over there. We'd go to those and you'd fight on a match and it would be like, oh, you're doing all this fucking crazy stuff, having him round the neck. And it's like, oh, what's all that about? And then you start to, you're like, oh, yeah, this stuff works. And then when you're in a real fight and then someone's hitting you and you're like, oh, I'm going to do a wrist lock on him now, and you're like, oh, it's not fucking working. Yeah. Do you want my head and pry on him? It's not quite working right.
Yeah.
Then you find out what works very quickly and what doesn't work.
So how do you use your knowledge in your years to this point now, or in your teaching? Give us a bit of your agenda in class. Are you focusing? You do your
so. Yeah, our dojo first and foremost. There's a Budo Kyokushin dojo. Our main primary objective is real fighting, real defense. That's what we train for. Next to that is then knockdown. So on our gradings and our sparring, we do 3-phase sparring. So we would start off normal knockdown, boom, 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 getting warmed up. And then we would do knockdown with Kazushi. So taking the balance, coming in and grabbing, trying to take the legs, grabbing and pulling the sleeves and hitting. This is not done in Kyokushin now. Very few dojos are doing it. There's no grabbing, there's no work. You're just working knockdown rules. And when what does Kumite mean? What does Kumite mean?
Sorry, internet there. Go again.
Lost you there. So the word Kumite,
yes.
Do you know what it means?
Fighting, sparring, it has some definitions like that? No?
Kumite, as in karate.
Oh, yeah.
Kumite, entangled hands. So it doesn't mean standing off, punching and kicking. It means getting entangled and coming in and grabbing and being together. So that's what Kumite is. And you think every time you throw a punch, you do a hikite. And you bring this arm back. And then people say, oh, we're not allowed to grab, but we don't do grabs. You do a grab every time you punch. Because hikite is pulling arm. So as I'm pulling this back to hit you, I'm pulling you onto this shot. Mm-hmm. We do it, but we do it subconsciously. Mm-hmm. Every time we do ki on, every time we do it. So I've had to look outside of Kyokushin and look at Dojo, look at old Shotokan, Shotokai, Shotorei, look at some old Okinawan styles as well to say, oh, we fucking do that.
Mm.
Oh, I was told you have to pull this one back, make this one faster. That's what I was told by my first instructor, not Shihan Gary, the first club I was with. Well, yeah, you have to pull this back, run fast. And it's like, bollocks, it's not. This is the pulling arm. You're pulling them onto the chop. Then I take that back to my dojo and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Then I'll research it. I'll look into it.
Gotcha.
With it. A lot of my stuff is tried and tested in real fights. So I don't teach theory. A lot of instructors teach theory. And you can tell an instructor who's at a real fight or not, basically teaching you the theory of how to have a fight. They've never been punched in the face. They've never actually knocked someone out. It's like you're just teaching the theory of things.
Gotcha.
So you can tell an instructor then who's been there and done that, and you know, it can. If I'm showing someone a particular move, and then that little spark comes inside you, and you're like, oh, in a bang, and then you get a bit too excited, and you're like, oh, didn't mean to catch you, sorry.
What's your thoughts on I guess the cycle as such with Kudo?
The Kudo is good. Kudo is it's a nice all-round. It's like Kyokushin used to be. And you look at Azuma was a judo player and a good Kyokushin, good, powerful, strong Kyokushin. Did boxing as well. So, and I think Oyama, when you look at John Bloomin as well. John Bloomin, he was a big guy, a wrestler as well, a judo player. And they wanted to integrate these things a little bit. Of course, I was kind of like, well, no, we do the tournament. We're making Kyokushin strongest karate it was going to be. So we concentrate on tournaments at that time. And I think then people went off, did their own thing. So Kudo is a good progression of Kyokushin and Judo into it. The Kudo. The only thing I don't like about it is the helmet. Because it throws you. So when I've done,
it does when you're
a friend of mine's got a Kudo dojo. When I've trained in Kudo, got the gloves on, because I'm used to being bare knuckle with nothing in my way. You put a helmet on, and you know we're only sort of talking there past your face, but it feels claustrophobic. It throws your perception out. It throws your depth out. You're going to throw a punch, and you're like way off. Someone's throwing a punch at you, and you think you've moved it, and it gets caught in the helmet. Have you ever been punched in the head with a Kudo helmet on?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. When I first went into a Kudo sparring, I thought, got a helmet on, I'll just fucking take it on the helmet. And then a guy come over and whacked me in the top of the head, and I just went into shock. Then shot all the way down my spine into my ass.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
That hurt. That rattled my teeth.
Yeah. In Aussie rules here in Australia, our sport Aussie rules, when you wear a helmet, it's you know, for safety, it's not, there's no gap, there's no room.
Head.
It's stuck on. So when, you know, if something does happen, it doesn't rock. It's committed as such.
Yeah.
With the Kudo helmet and other things, even a bike helmet, when it's not on appropriate, your bike helmet gives you the shits as well. But no, that's cool, because Kudo's something that you know, I watch a bit in respect of grabbing certain references in their methods and training, and do certain sets and you know, drills towards, you know, face punching in my class.
It's good. This is lost in Kyokushin. People are not face punching. They're not training for the face. And you know, my biggest fucking bugbear, when you see people online going, oh yeah, Kyokushin doesn't have face punches. And it's like, you fucking wanker. Come to my dojo and I'll show you face punches.
Yeah.
Because we do. Kyokushin has it. It's just knockdown rules doesn't use it.
No,
There's
that's
a
right.
difference.
I say to my students that, you know, you do your Kihon set, your basic Kihon set at the start, and you get rid of your punching, but then nearly 90% of our Kihon is not used in knockdown. Your Rakken Shaman, Rakken Sage, you know, Shuto, you know, all these actions and motions, we're not using them, but we're practicing them every single start of every single class.
Yeah. But they just go through the motions. They don't know what they're doing. Like you just did the Oraka Mawashi there now. I did a video on that not so long ago. And people don't think what it is they're doing. But that Oraka Mawashi there is beautiful. It's an upside down hook. But out of range for a hook, you're just missing, clipping the chin. You do Oraka Mawashi, you've got an extra 3 inches, bang, to connect. You can come in just as hard with that. So we've got so many techniques in our syllabus. It's like I said, it's all there. It's all in the books, but people gloss over it. They're like, oh yeah, let's do a bit of Shihan, let's do a bit of punching, or a bit of like, do some bag work.
Well, that's what they're training it. Well, you have given me some kicks in the ass when I watch some of your stuff, because the kicks in the ass meaning I'm on the same wavelength as yourself in regards to our masters have the pedigree of the past, and then we're trying to continue, this teaching. It's in our hands as such. The torch and the flame sits with lads like us that have a true passion and want to continue on with it. So that's cool. Shihan, from here, you mentioned you've had Shihan Cameron Quinn up in Wales, and I'm not sure which other Aussies you've had, but I guess you and I have gestured on some chats. I'm very fortunate here in Oz to have head to a camp with Judd Reed and Gary O'Neill and Peter Graham and Cameron Quinn, and then we have my Shihan ran his camp here, and we have Goju specialists and some really high.
You've got a lot of top guys in Australia.
Yeah, what I'm getting to there is, when you had Shihan Cameron up there, and if you've had others, I guess in just sharing what you learn or what you see from afar, down in Oz or down in other continents as such.
But it is like you said, like Australia, there's a lot of history there. You've got a lot of top guys, Shihan Eddie, like the sort of top three there. Your Shihan Bill coming down. You've got Shihan Cameron, you've got Shihan Judd. You've got some top names out in Australia. And so I've always been a fan of Shihan Cameron, like I said, from his book. This was the beauty of Facebook. I just messaged him, like, my message. I'll send him a message just to say, I loved your book. And you send a message and he'd reply, and then you'd be like, oh, he's a man. He's down to earth. He's a normal guy. So you're like, oh, I'll ask him a question. And we became friends.
Yeah.
So, and then we back and forth. And then back in 2013, I was then with Aikyo GB, with Aikyo Matsui. And I wanted to bring Cameron over to a seminar because I had just done a seminar with Kazumi, Anshul Kazumi.
Oh, wow. Just
trained with him in Scotland for 2 days. And I thought, I want to get Shihan Cameron over. We need that really in Wales. Things are dying out a bit. We've got some big names back here, but like Sean Howard Collins and that, but they haven't been in Wales for a long time. So we were like, let's get a kick the arse here. So I started organising a seminar. We're going to bring Shihan Cameron over, and completely independently, I was organising it. And then sort of the cogs started turning, but then the organisation it was travelling around, and they said, what's this that you're bringing Cameron Quinn over? Yeah, it's going to be great, isn't it? It's going to be awesome. No, he's not with the IKO. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. They're like, no, he's not with the IKO. So you can't bring him over. And I was like, well, I am bringing him over. And that's that. Because don't tell me I can't do something. Tell me I can't do it. So there was kind of there was a lot of tension growing then, and a lot of letters going around and stuff. And there was an edict from Japan that IKO were only allowed to associate with other Kyokushin people in IKO. We're not allowed to associate with outside of IKO. And I was like, you can get fucked. Don't tell me who I can't be friends with. So I said, well, look, at that point I'd been in IKO for 22 years, and I said, you're telling me I'm not allowed to train with people just because they're not in a certain organization. I'll resign from the organization then. That was kind of that's my threat. I'll resign then and I'll be gone. So there was meetings back and forth. I couldn't go to the meetings. They were all behind closed doors. And then they said, we've come to a decision. You can't resign because we're banning you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, just bollocks, as you would say.
So that kind of put a stop to it then with coming over at that point. And then fast forward a few years, I'm quite pally with Jed. We were speaking a lot, talking a lot. He was doing his tour. And I was like, well, you've got to come to Wales. You've got to come to Wales and do something. And he was doing a seminar up in London. So I said, I'll come up and meet you and then come and stay with me for a couple of days. And then we'll have a catch up. So we did a London seminar. Then he came and stayed with me for a few days. We did a small little seminar in Wales as well then. So that was great, having Jed over, the 100-man Kumite guy. That's my mate. He's in the house. He stayed with us. We got to know him really well. Became good friends. And then once I'd done one, I was like, oh, I've done a seminar now. I put it together. It all went great. I'm bringing Cameron over. Let's do it then next year. So we went the following year, which was 2 years ago. Then we brought Cameron over for a 2-week seminar. And that was great as well. It was, he came and stayed with us. Got to really, and these are people that when I was 14 reading their book, we were like, these are legends, people. Now I'm, very fortunate to say Cameron was a good friend. If I want to speak to him, I pick up the phone, I can call him. And we'll have a conversation like me and you were talking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Good on you. Well done, I guess. And, in those listening as well, let's not forget and appreciate that Shihan Terry, again, either we're on the bottom of the earth or you're on the top of the earth, but it is a long, long way, and there's no excuse as such, maybe there is now due to COVID, but, we are still, very much, fortunate here in Australia to have some high profile figures. And I know a lot of us here take it for granted a lot. We have so many that I want to interview and get a chat with, and having a chat with you from the other side of town as such, I guess makes me appreciate your passion and love and respect for us here in Oz and for some of the guys, because you didn't have as much, and you probably had the same mentors or people to look up to that were just doing their thing in London.
And it's just that Australia is the other side of the world, so it's like always. So that's someone on the list that I need to get in front of, because these people are not going to be around forever, are they?
No, the internet just cut off for about 10 seconds. So could you just repeat that one more time? That's all right.
I was just saying, if I could get out to Australia and come and stay out for a couple of weeks, train with all the guys like Shihan Eddie. I've never trained under Shihan Eddie. I've met him in Japan, but only does Shihan, because when you're like a first dan, second dan, you're bottom of the line, nobody, and all the Shihans and Hanshis and you're like, So that'd be another guy to train under. I've got my bucket list of people who I want to train under. Because I was never fortunate enough to train, but that was the plan. See, I started karate in '92. By '93, it was like, this is my life. I'm going to Japan to be an Ushideshi. We used to get a photocopy of Hombu News, and I'd read about the Ushideshis. I'd read about Kenji Yamaki was a champion at the time, and Kazumi was sort of coming up as well. And I was like, I'm going to Japan. That's the dream. That's what I'm doing. I was only 12.
Yeah.
So it was like, we're working towards it. And then 1994, source I had a shell that shook the entire Kyokushin.
Bear with us.
Never meant to be.
Sorry, Shihan.
Trained with Shihan Cameron. Just want to get in front guys, because Sosai lives through them. If we don't train with them, it's going to die. And we're at risk of losing the old ways. So many guys now who are first dan, knee dan, sandan, who all they do is tournaments. They don't know any of the fucking old guys. They don't read the books. They don't look at any of Kyokushin. We're fast approaching becoming a kickboxing sport.
Shihan, I appreciate your time. The internet is starting to give us a bit of a tap on the shoulder, but we'll keep going for about 5 more minutes. But bear with us, everyone. I get to edit a little bit of this, but we appreciate your take on that as well. Shihan, let's see how we go here for a couple of more minutes. Where to from here? Where to for you from here? You know, you've been acknowledged as you with your 5th dan. What motivates you? What gives you the push still that you have so much passion towards?
Well, we're all doing it. What I want to do is I want to enlighten people now. I want to make them think about their techniques. This is the seminar. I mean, this is what the Backstreet Karate page is about. It's not about me. It's about me just changing the way you think about your techniques. You already do the techniques. They're already there. You need to change how you're using them. People are like, they've got a screwdriver trying to fucking hammer in a nail with it. And it's like, you've got the tools, but you're not using them the right way. So I just want to make people think about it differently. And like when I do my seminars and you see people and they're like, oh, fucking hell, never even looked at it like that. Never even looked at that movement. With a lot of kata, I've gone to Dojo, Shotokan, and looked at the grappling and side of kata, and typical argument of like Kyokushin Shuffle. Oh, you stood here, boom, step there. Someone kicks you, you block, then you step forward. And it's like, that's not what it is. I mean, when you look at the old ways, Kyokushin Shuffle, someone in your grappling position, Gedan Brai, bang, which twists them to the side, you step through with a shot, grab him, twist him around. You're like, whoa, these are mind-blowing things.
Right.
I've learned them from other people, and I want to pass them on to everyone else. And my strapline is I want to make karate dangerous again, because karate's looked at as a joke. We jump about in our pajamas these days. I want people to, they go, oh, now, karate guy, don't mess about with him.
That's awesome. Great summary there. Let's give your social media side a mention for those listening. Again, we want as many people to see and get a chance to, we've all got time at the minute. So what you just mentioned your social pages just to get people some reference, and then I also do a summary of the podcasts from here, and I catch some links in regards to our conversation. So some people go, oh shit, okay, that's what you guys were talking about. Oh cool, I get what you mean now. So go for it. The floor is yours just to finish off, and then I'll close it.
So so we've got the Facebook page, which is Backstreet Karate. That's going well. That's over 6,000 likes on there now. So we've definitely touched on a little underground niche people that are going, yeah, we're fed up with sport. We want to look at the real deal stuff. So that I put videos on there and just my take on things. We've got the Instagram is Terry_Ronin Dojo. That's more of a personal thing, but it's training up one day and more my life and bits. We've got the Facebook group, which is Ronin Dojo, my dojo group. And then people just message me on Facebook. They look at the videos. We get loads of people messaging anyway. I'm open to everyone. If someone's watching the stuff I do and they say, that's a pile of shit, I'm like, well, change my mind. Come and convince me. Come to the dojo. We've got an open door.
Damn. You there? Yeah, we just missed the last 6 seconds, but that's cool.
So anyone can message. We're open. I'll open a dialogue with anyone if they want. If someone wants to talk karate, I'll talk karate with them.
Shihan, amazing. Thank you so much. I know it's an hour. We could talk for hours and hours, which is great. I can call you a friend from here on. I appreciate that. In respect of, let's get you back on. I know some of you, you were doing some seminars, but due to COVID, things have been, stopped and halted. But let's stay in touch with things. Let's stay in touch with things, and let's get you back on when it's time to push a little bit more and get your take on other things. Shihan, Biggles from Australia. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Pat. Great. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. We'll stay in touch.